Well, it's time for this week's Absurdities by Simon Black of Sovereign Man. The old joke about the 1990s TV show Seinfeld was that it was a show about nothing. Now it looks like Germany wants to be an economy about nothing. A German university is paying scholarships to do nothing. A German university is looking for people that can pay to do nothing literally. They want to pay people to refrain from activities. Anyone can submit proposals on what they pledge to stop doing, for how long and why. The idea is to explore how not doing certain activities impacts your life and the lives of others. So, for example, if you pledge to stop shopping for 3 weeks, they will study how not shopping would cut fuel consumption, plastic waste, etc. Right now, it's just a pilot program that will only select a handful of people. But if the results prove that doing nothing promotes environmental and social justice, we're already expecting much bigger funding for the next round. Just imagine how much better the world would be if we valued laziness and sloth. And this trend won't end with COVID until we recognize that sitting at home and doing nothing is brave and heroic. Next, Germany is to test universal basic income. Speaking of doing nothing, universal basic income is an idea that has caught fire with the Bolsheviks. The idea is that people should be paid just for existing. We all just get to collect money that the central bank conjures out of thin air. Obviously, some people think this will cause laziness and rob people of achieving their full potential. But others insist it is the best way to relieve poverty and inspire creativity. So to test the idea, Germany will pay 120 volunteers, 1,200 euros, 1,400 US a month for 3 years to see what happens. It's almost like Western civilization is rejecting the idea that actual work has to be done. Now, Germans must walk dogs twice a day under a new law. Well, here's at least one thing that Germany wants you to do. Walk your dog. Under a newly introduced plan, all Germans will be required to take their dogs for a walk twice a day, totaling an hour of walking time. An earlier version of the law required 2 one-hour walks per day, but that was changed after a backlash. Still, a little Chihuahua needs the same amount of exercise as a golden retriever. And now Germans will be legally liable if they have a busy day and don't have a full hour to spare. Maybe next the state can micromanage the proper number of pats and belly rubs. Who's a good boy? Ironically, when it comes to absurd nanny states, there seems to be no consensus. While Germany is forcing people to walk their dogs, other governments have forced people to not walk their dogs during the pandemic. Next, teachers are worried you'll hear what they teach your kids. Wow. The Tennessee School District asked parents to sign a form agreeing not to listen or eavesdrop on online classes. Parents were not a big fan of this idea, and after a backlash, the district backed down. But this wasn't the first time schools worried about parents hearing what they're drilling into your students' brains. One teacher complained on Twitter that virtual classrooms will have potential spectators overhearing the discourse. Whoa, sad. Several teachers expressed concern about parents overhearing honest conversations about gender, sexuality in their classrooms, which usually has a what happens here stays here policy, just like Vegas. Apparently these gender and sexually obsessed public school teachers want to have sensitive conversations with your children behind your back. Wow. Next, punctuation is now triggering to millennials. We all know that text messages lack the nuance of face-to-face conversations. Without emotion, things like sarcasm and passive aggression are harder to detect. But did you know that something as simple as a period at the end of the sentence could trigger anxiety in millennials and Generation Z? The author of a new book on digital etiquette claims that youngsters find it stressful to read text messages with a period at the end. According to the author, the period is perceived as abrupt, unfriendly, and even insincere. You already ended the text. You don't have to be a big jerk about it and add a period. We can only imagine how much anxiety an all-caps message would cause. Wow, yeah. Next, Great Britain bans advertising of unhealthy foods on daytime TV. Coronavirus is not the only public health emergency that allows authoritarian control of society. Obesity is another excuse for power-hungry politicians. Great Britain announced it will ban the daytime TV advertising of foods with more than 1.5 grams of salt, 20 grams of fat, or 22.5 grams of sugars per 100 grams. This includes stuff like ketchup, bacon, and cheese. This tramples free speech, but also will take a bite out of advertising and sales revenue when companies are already struggling. And this is coming from a moderate party, not even the most radical politicians in Britain. Wow. Next, Massachusetts now requires flu shots for all students. The Massachusetts Department of Health announced it will require all students in K to 12 schools and college undergraduates to take a yearly flu shot. Curiously, students who are staying at home and engaged in their public school system's remote learning are not exempt. There's no corona vaccine yet, but we imagine this is a way to get everyone used to the idea of the government mandating what goes in your body. It is no longer for individuals or parents to weigh the benefits and drawbacks for their family. Homeschoolers, however, are exempt from the law. Interesting. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and please like this video and subscribe to our channel.